What's going on? Danny Crew, Stan Drew here, and we are back for another day of Catan. All right, we have Orang here in the second position. So these games are recorded on my iPad, but I like to do commentary after the game just to kind of talk through some of my ideas on placements and just to give you a sense of why I did what I did, and hopefully you can learn from that. All right, so let's get into it. Orang, second position, ranked game. This one's going to be an interesting one. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Wherever you're at in the world, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing amazing. I have been so busy post USA Nationals and lots of life stuff going on. We had a hurricane that hit here as well, so it's been a little bit wild. I appreciate your patience. 8-5-10 goes down by blue. Makes a lot of sense. 3 unique resources. We're going to go for the simple dot game, right? 6-9-5, the double wheat or pick. Just really strong. I'm a huge fan of double wheat. If you saw my USA Nationals win. But this is a very sensible pick because we can use that extra wheat, go into a port, and we just become very flexible in terms of development cards. And typically your first placement is going to be kind of telling you what kind of game you're going to play. So knowing that I'm taking an ore and a wheat spot, I'm probably going to find some way to use that additional resource in a port to buy development cards, potentially trade some of that wheat. And what's interesting about this board is that because I'm going to control most of the wheat, I have some really, really good blocks, which is namely the 9 wheat. If I can control the 9 wheat with a robber, then I'm able to really control the pace of the game, especially the fact that there is an okay amount of ore. The wood's very interesting here as well, right? That's one of the reasons I really do like the 8-5-10 is you do get one of the rare resources, which is the wood, with there only being a 6 and an 8. So it's probably going to be isolated in most cases. But yeah, kind of hard to argue. We're going towards a port. We got great production. Though our options on the way back aren't spectacular, right? Like we do have maybe some challenges. Maybe we might get like a 10-3-11, maybe the 9-10-2. I don't think we're getting any more of the ore situation, but the 9-10-2 is really good, right? We do get more wheat. We do pick up some sheep, and then we can build to more sheep potentially and just kind of really complete that development card game. Here in third, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the 6-9-3 here. It makes a ton of sense. You're picking up that rare wood. You do get the wheat and the ore. And there's actually a lot of good outs. Namely, either you're going to take the sheep brick situation on the 8-5-10, or you can take the 8-3-4 and play that game as well. So, yep, 6-9-3, perfect pick for third here. Pretty tough, I would say, for fourth. Kind of feels like you probably want to try to play off of this sheep port play, 8-5-10. Now the question is, what do you pair it with? So maybe 8-5-10, 9-4-11, and you point up and you try to double the ore with the 4-3. Pretty solid game. Not sure if you're going to be playing for road, if you're going to play for army, but you kind of have a camp perfect. Yeah, so far I think the placements have been correct. Pretty good pick here, 8-3-4 for our boy Black. And then obviously we're going to have to make a interesting decision about how we want to proceed. Wherever you are at in the world, I appreciate you being here, sharing your time, your love, your energy. Like I said, I've been super busy. Life has not been kataning too much. Obviously I came off that pretty big win with USA Nationals and just kind of been investing in a lot of other things. Things on a professional level. I've been extremely busy with work. Personal level in terms of building new relationships and getting myself out into the world in different ways. I promise you, if I ever go quiet, it's not, I'm not leaving the scene. I'm not giving up the channel. Sometimes you just get busy. And sometimes, you just got to do other things, explore new things in life, and that's okay. The beautiful thing is, like, Catan's not going anywhere. Also, too, Dylan coming back and kind of sharing his journey again, and that's super exciting. I got so much love for Dylan. Him and I are good friends. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do over the coming weeks and months. So in that way, you're not going to have any shortage of Catan content. Okay, 8-3-4, super sensible pick. Gives him all 5 resources. He's got decent port play with the 3-1, potentially the wood port if he gets that 6-9-3 city and that 6 becomes a free card. I like it. So once he places his road, which he probably should place it left, I think that's the principal pick. Let's discuss this real quick. I'm going to go back. Obviously, I put my cursor over the 6-3-11, but that doesn't mean I picked it. What should we do here? You know, one of the things I'm realizing is that when you're playing in second, you usually have a pretty good sense of what first is going to do, right? There's usually only so many options. One thing I'm noticing here is that the 6-3-11 is just really, really good for blue. It gives him the wheat that he's going to need. It gives him 4 pips of brick, which pairs perfectly with his 8. It also gives him the wheat port. So yes, we could go for something like the 10-3-11 up, and I think we do get the road settled to the 10-9-2, and then we can go 3-1. That's fine. But I think what I'm going to do here is try to control some tiles, control some space. I actually prefer the 6-3-11 here. Now, it's a tough game. We're playing with 3 resources, wheat, ore, and brick, but I just don't want to give blue too much. And what's going to happen here is if we go 6-3-11, he's more or less forced to go 10-3-11 up. And then once he settles on the 9, we have a blocking spot that's going to hit all 3 players. And it's going to be a very critical blocking spot because it's their only wheat. So let's see what happens here. I typically don't like going 3 resources, but with the 6-3-11, it's so interesting to me that we also do have the wheat port and a ton of wheat that we can make this setup work. We can trade any additional wheat. We can try to get a couple knights in our back pocket and really put some emphasis on the robber and see if we can wheel and deal. But yeah, I think blue has a pretty simple pick here. They're probably going to go 10-3-11, start with the road, 10-9-2. It might be a tad bit too slow, right? Because they have a lot to accomplish. But that's also good too, right? I want to put blue in an uncomfortable situation where he's not like blasting off right away. So it's like he gets the starting road, but then he needs to produce a wheat, right? I'm more concerned about blue dropping an early city than an early settle. All right, first 7 of the game. Like I said, we have a mission here. We need to control the wheat. So to me, probably the most sensible block's the 9, especially the fact that blue's going to be settling on that kind of soonish. Now, that being said, we do give a pretty good trade away where we are giving 2 wheat. They do have the starting wheat, so it might not be as valuable. But as the game progresses, that wheat will become very valuable, especially if I keep the robber on that 9. At this point, I'm just trying to clear my hands, looking for ore, looking for wood. I have a general rule when I play Catan, which is that if you can action every turn, you're probably going to win the game. So in these situations when my hand's stuck and I can't do anything, I'm looking, ooh, big plow. Little unnecessary there. Yeah, so going back real quick, if I can action, that's great. I will try to drop roads. I'll try to buy development cards. I'm not sure that's the right play for black there. Obviously, he wants to pick up more ore. Early plows in ranked are very, very dangerous where they'll typically bring you a lot of heat. Some players don't like to kind of feel like they're losing their game early. So that might come back to haunt them. We're going to see. All right, so we're going for the city trade here or the wood trade. Pretty simple, right? We have 2 missions. We get a city and we get to a port. So I'm going to see if I can shift that sheep back, which seems kind of strange. And if all else fails, we can always buy a development card. But the city is just such a huge play for us on the 695 that I'm willing to give up a ton of my hand to get it. This is a pretty good trade for blue, right? Like pretty much gives him everything he needs to settle. It's a pretty good trade. He takes it. We slap it down. This is the thing, guys. You've got to get more aggressive with your trades. Now, obviously, it's a good deal for blue as well, right? He gets the settle. But us getting a city with that 695 is going to really help us cook. Okay, wheat for wood, not ideal, not happening. Also, I don't mind the fact that it does get the ore out of blue's hand, which slows him down from building a city. So in a sense, like it's a kind of a dual purpose trade. All right, we got wheat for days. We got 7 for days. this will happen. This will happen. Sometimes when you're playing these clunky 3 resource setups, you're going to meet the 7 every once in a while. It is what it is. No big deal. Solo's a little strange, but I guess in blue situation, how else do you block me? I wouldn't be as concerned about me quite yet. Like, I have no wood. I have no sheep. I do have the 695 city, but then I have the 4-for-1, especially after I 7 out. I don't know if that's the right situation, but fair enough, right? We have obviously dropped a pretty big city on the board, so that is naturally going to bring some heat. I find in these situations, and this was actually very similar to my Nationals game, that early city will bring you heat, but what happens is as the board builds up, and hopefully you're doing some of the building with the board, the heat's going to dissipate, right? You're going to be able to breathe a little bit more. Maybe the 8's going to be a bigger block. Maybe the 4 might be a big block if black settles on it. So patience. Let the board build up. Perfect. Let the board build up and kind of work that angle from there. All right. So we need cards. We need rolls. One of the things I'm also very conscious about here is looking for sheep trades. I'm going to take this. Wood is very rare for us. And we do produce some decent amount of brick on the 3 and the 11. So I'm going to be looking for wood trades, and I'm going to be looking for sheep trades. Essentially. Trying to get greedy here, 2-for-1. I like it. I like the greed. But me being solo blocked, I'm just not going to give away 2 cards. Blue's done extremely well. Perfect. We're going to throw it back on the 9. It's always our block. Oh. Well, I broke my own rules, but we do have a second city. I think in hindsight, I probably would have put it back on the 9 unless the 9 just rolled. So if there was a lot of weed in the ecosystem, maybe I might try to slow down a blue on the 8. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't tracking in that exact moment. All right, we're going for a pretty interesting trade here. So pretty much giving a pretty close to a city to black, which I don't want to do, right? Like dropping another city is pretty decent for us. We can also try to just look for single sheep trades so that we can start to buy a couple devs. Then once we get robber control, we can probably wheel and deal for the sheep and the wood if we need it. But yeah, it's not a bad block. I think blue has done extremely well, but I probably would keep it on the 9 if I could. All right, 1-for-1, sheep for wheat, give it to me. This is the trade that we love to see. Perfect. All right. Come on, Drew. Throw it on the 9. Yeah, just keep it simple. I think blue's doing extremely well, and we get another sheep. That's perfect. So I'm going to see if I can grab another development card. And once the engine on knights start moving, our game is much better, right? Like if we can start buying development cards, we're going to be pulling hopefully things like Year of Plenties, the road builders that we need to get some of these settle spots. Mono's obviously fantastic. This is not a horrible trade for us either. We're going to see if we can extract a little bit more value, especially on his turn. We're looking for leverage. So if this gives him a city and he has an extra sheep in hand, he might just take it. So this is a thing, like, don't be willing to push on other players' turns, because that's where your leverage is at. When somebody's stuck and they need a solution to fix their hand, sometimes they're willing to give a lot more than you think. Okay, so we do lose a card. Blue had no cards. Okay, is what it is. No big deal. Blue flips a knight. Now, I'm curious. Look at this. Remember what I said. When black settles on the 4, that might change the targeting a bit. Now, knowing blue's hand, he's got actually some pretty good cards here. So he has 2 wood in his hand, so it's a 66% chance of stealing the wood. So I might actually go for it here. I go for the ore. So in hindsight, I probably should have made a deal there with blue to get the wood. But I'm just going for devs. Screw it. It's always interesting because, I played this game back in August. So this August 19th is according to my gameplay here. So, oh my God, exactly 2 months ago I played this game. So look, I don't remember every move I made, but clearly I was quite excited to get into the development cards here, which makes a ton of sense. Looking for value here. I would also be willing to take sheep trades. But at this point, now that I have army in my back pocket, I really need to start looking to get to some of the port play here. And the wheat port's fantastic. Perfect. This is a trade we take. We take this trade. 1 for 1, brick for wood. Let's go. The problem with the 2 is that my hand doesn't become actual, right? Because at least with the 1 for 1, I can drop a road. But if I get rid of my brick, then I'm sitting there with 2 wood and 4 wheat. It's not ideal. Now, I'm willing to push him if he's willing to give me the sheep, because then at least like the sheep gives me potential development card play. Probably what I should do here is I should X out the second trade because I haven't verified that yet. Sometimes I just forget to do that. But yeah, keep in mind, like, people are sitting there waiting for you to respond. So I'm just going to throw it back out there, 1 for 1. Okay, there's a ton of wood in this ecosystem. Brick for wood. This might be a trade. You know, potentially I could also look to do a 2 for 2 again. It's a little bit of a different situation because now that I have, you know, I might even just go robbing Blue's hand because I know he's got a decent amount of wood. So I'm going to do an extortion deal here with Blue. And the idea is that potentially I might be able to grab 2 wood here. There's 1. There's 2. And then I might try to do a couple wheat for a sheep. Boom, look at that. Road settle. So I want you guys to take note here what just happened. I turned, what was it, 3 brick and 4 wheat into a road settle off of playing 1 knight aggressively. And this is the thing people don't understand about Catan is like the players that are wheeling and dealing. I practically turned that into a huge play out of a completely dead hand by being proactive. This was a huge play, and I hope you understand players are doing this all the time and crushing you. All right, so now we are absolutely goated. Our 6 is a wheat plus a card. We have really good knight control, right? Because we essentially flip a knight for 6 points. And now our game's easy. Our game is easy. All we're going to do is buy devs and let the devs illuminate the best path to win this game. And because we are side by side, 6-3-11, 6-9-5, there is this possibility where if we can get like a road builder, maybe a monopoly, we can connect for longest road. Because with 3 roads, we drop to 6 roads. Now, to be fair, Black's probably the favorite for road. He's already at 4 roads. He drops 1 into 5. He's got the brick. He's got the wood. But don't count us out. Do not count us out here. Brick for wood. This is a pretty good trade. Though, can we do better is the question. Can we do better? And remember, because the way Blue placed, instead of him building the early city, he focused on his settlements. And remember, I gave him that trade where I got the ore. I slowed his city build down, which he still has a great setup, but it's not as good, in my opinion, because the city build is going to be a little bit more difficult for him. All right, we're seeing the 9-10. Pretty decent here. And I think we just keep going back to the 9. The 9's still a decent block for us. Obviously, there are other considerations with green having that huge city. But ultimately, I like this play. I think we can buy development card. And more knights are not bad. VPs are incredible. There's no such thing as a bad dev here for us. So we're going to go to the well. Road builder. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. At home, I guess, think like, where would you go with this road builder? The obvious play here is the 9-12. But the thing is, the 9-12 is probably not going away. Like, these road settles are generally easy for us. So with the road builder, I kind of want to see if I can get to some more difficult, challenging spots. I kind of like the 4-11, where with the 4-11, we do go to 4 roads, but then we also do pick up the sheep production. I just think it makes the possibility of us taking longest road a little bit easier. Now, obviously, the 3-1's something, but like, what are we porting? We're not porting the ore. We already have the wheat port. We don't have enough brick to really consider the 3-1, in my opinion. So I think the 411 is perfect. It gives us a little bit of sheep to work with, as we're buying devs. And like I said, that longest road threat is real and live with that play. All right, 4s are popping here. That's a big roll for green and black. Popping again. Oh, man. So, knowing there's sheep on the board, maybe we can work something out here. I'm going to see if I can use the road builder. If we can get any of these trades, then we can just port the wheat and then 411 settle. Nah, black, come on. I have the port, brother. I also don't mind doing it a little bit cheaper, right? 1 for 1's not horrible, but I just got to be careful about who I trade with. There also might be a 2 for 2 opportunity here. Exactly. No, these trades aren't right. These trades aren't right. So we're just going to port for a sheep here. Generally, these situations, you got to be porting for rare resources. We have the brick, we have the ore. We have 2 wood in our hand, which is perfect. Interesting. So the question is, what does black hit here, or black hit here? The 5 makes a lot of sense, right? Slowing us down from potential future cities or devs. But that being said, we have the wheat port. So the 6 and 9 are just monster rolls right there. And we could play the knight, but we don't need to necessarily. I kind of like getting the 411, just kind of taking that off the table. I mean, I don't think black would ever take it because he has other fish to fry, other priorities. So we'll see. Do I play a knight? It's also not bad in the sense, like, if I leave it, blue needs a city, right? So if it does roll, that sucks. But it does deny blue the ore that he needs to build a city while he's at 5 settles. So there is some reason not to play the knight. Just go get the settle. Then I can flip the knight next turn. And who knows? Maybe I might be able to cash in on a sheep roll and the 6 rolls and I can buy another dev. Okay, so we're seeing blue take road. So I flip the knight here. And of course, all the brick rolls. I think this is a good hand for us, potentially either to drop the road to 9-12 or to buy a dev. Dev is perfect. I like dev. 6 gives us what we need to go back for the settle. I don't mind playing the knight there too. Kind of stop the bleeding a bit. Especially how strong black is here. Like, he's cooking. He's got great production. Flexibility now with the 6 being a free card and potential longest road. So I think the 4 is fine. Green's also doing well too, 7 points. So we're a little bit behind, but we're not too far behind. All right, wonderful. And I think the way this board's building up, I'm assuming he's going to hit something like the 8 here. He could hit me and just kind of test my devs, but like, for instance, if I don't have knights and it just stays on me, that's also kind of a problem. So probably the safer bet is just the 8 brick. Okay, so he does solo me, which I think is an interesting situation. There's a lot of threats on this board. Okay, we're going to flip the knight. Back on the 4. Hit black. I don't need more brick. But ends up being actually a pretty fruitful block. Now, this is going to suck, right? Because we don't have a knight. I don't think it's me here, though. He might consider it me. He can also consider hitting blue from the standpoint that blue is slowing them down from taking road. But I don't think that's the correct hit. Yes, I do have army. But effectively, I have 4 points plus army. So I'm at 6. And even if I have a VP, I'm at 7. Even if I drop 2 cities, that's 9. So interesting call there. I think he can see a situation where if blue drops a city, he's at 8 and settles for 9. That's probably a little bit more threatening. Oh man, this 4 is killing. This 4 is crushing. Hey, what's up, 12? What's up, 12? You gotta love that. Yeah, so interesting call. That's one thing is when you look at players' situations, you've got to consider what's their output of production as well. Obviously, I have a 2 for 1 port, but there is a certain inflexibility that comes with that too, right? Like I do have to port consistently all the time to make my hand actionable. So it's a close game. I think we're doing well. I'm concerned here with Black. Black is definitely the threat in terms of his potential. He's got great production, multiple ports. He can take longest road, and I like the 6 for that reason. So that was a really good play by Green. And also, let's not forget, Green is close here too. If he's at 7, he settles for 8 and then takes longest road for the win. Oh, brother. So we have some interesting plays here. We're going to see if we can grab the sheep. And this would give us the road builder play. This is a risky move. Man, he's getting so greedy. So greedy. I don't understand the greed here at all. So I think the simple play here is just to port and then head over to the 411. Okay, so we pick up a little bit of sheep. I like it. Also the 3-1 was not a bad play there, especially given the fact that we do have that extra brick in our hand. But okay, we're cooking now. We're cooking. And frankly, I don't think it's me here quite yet. Like, I've shown that I don't have VPs. I have army, so 5 + 2. While Blue's just settling for 9 points with that city on the 8-5-10. Interesting block. Interesting block here. Yeah, so it feels like we're slipping a little bit. But hey, all right. Now if we can get that 6 or 9, we can drop another city. That's 8 points. That 6-3-11 is actually pretty nice for us, where that 6 just becomes an absolute goated roll. Man, I do not want to port the orb, but I don't think I have a choice here. Another knight. Oh, that's so brutal. So brutal. It hasn't been a very fun endgame for us, unfortunately. And Blue is kind of crushing us. Sometimes, guys, that's just the way it is, you know? Now, luckily, there is a situation here where if we can take away road from Blue, that really does help kind of extend the game. So that's something that needs to be done here. Remember, when I was talking about like me getting hit, it didn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, people maybe just try to take the heat and we get monoed, is what it is. Hopefully, though, with his 14 cards, he takes road, right? He needs 3 roads. We need him to take road. That's what we need. We need a road battle to ensue. We need Black and Blue to kill each other, dropping roads, taking road away from each other, back and forth. And we need rolls here. Like, we could, in theory, drop 3 cities for the win, maybe 2 cities and a VP. But the way I look at this situation is it's all going to come down to the development card deck for us. Like, we need to be able to pull some decent devs. We've been pulling pretty much only knights. We did get the road builder. But if we can start to tap into the dev deck, get a couple 6s in our back pocket, there is hope. It's not a great hope, but there is hope. The good thing here is that because, yeah, this is good. This is good. We need some rolls here. That's a roll. All right, there's a lot of wheat. A mono would have been great for us. So we can drop a city or we can drop... All right, so we have actually longest road and a development card. So this could be game here. Mono is perfect. Ended up being the perfect hand. The reason I did this, by the way, I felt like going to 8 roads was actually pretty solid. Also, it stops anybody from winning. So I think I had to do that to make sure that Black doesn't get the win here. But this is that side-by-side effect, remember? Now the 7 was pretty good for us. All right, 6 into 12. So effectively, we just need to produce 2 ore here, whether we do it with the wheat. Now remember what rolled the previous orbit. So the question is, what's in everybody's hand? The 9 rolled and they didn't use the wheat. So we're going to take the wheat here. Bam. I kind of was just doing some mental calculation, and there you go. Sometimes this is the thing you guys have to understand. Setting up the double play is such a big opportunity in ranked games. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I consistently get to the top 100 is simply because like I am finding opportunities to put in the double play into my games. But honestly, that was nicely played by everybody. I think it was a relatively balanced game. Now, obviously, we got some good rolls and be able to take road there. I think they should have tried to do a better job of locking it. But okay, somehow we produced a ton of wood. At the end, we were able to take road, and we also had the pop, which was great. So there you go. Pretty straightforward game. You know, sometimes that's the way it be. But I like the decision in terms of taking the 6-3-11, making trades, keeping the 9 blocked. Maybe I would have changed a couple different blocks. Maybe I would have tried to find some other deals along the way. But look, can't complain about W. All right, guys. Really appreciate you being here. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed that. We're going to be doing some more videos leading up to the end of the season. I've just been so busy. So busy. So it's definitely taking me away from posting. So if you've kind of been wondering what's going on, I appreciate your patience. Like I said, I'm not going away, and neither should you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you soon. All right, see you, crew. Peace.